Wow, thanks you guys. Appreciate it.
What does it mean? We've heard a little bit, but to come back around at this point in your career and to be with your hometown team, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, no, it's a really cool thing. Obviously, growing up in Yakima, watching the Seattle Seahawks growing up, and I've talked a lot about memories and experiences. I mean, that's what football is, right? It's like it's remembering all those big moments. And we're walking through the halls back here. It's like looking at these photos of iconic. I mean, just moments in games and being able to recognize, like, man, I remember where I was when that happened and that moment happened. And growing up watching Seattle, watching football being a huge part of my life, and then playing in Eastern Washington. Full circle moment coming back to being able to throw on a Seattle Seahawks uniform. That's a really cool thing, and something that I don't take lightly, and just really excited to be able to be a part of this program, what this program's been about, and continue to move it forward.
Did the Seahawks and watching Seahawks shape anything about your game and the way you approach football?
Um, well, I mean, certainly there's players that you watch and you learn from. I think that's been my thing is being able to see what guys do and say, hey, is that something that I can do? Is that something that I want to implement in my game? And we were just talking down the hall. Doug Baldwin, one of the best come to balance releases in history. And little pieces of game. It's like little pieces of game like that. It's like, man, that's something that I do. It's watching Doug Baldwin do that stuff to guys, turn people around all the time. So that's part of what it's in my bag. It's something that I carry with me, and so it is. There's guys that have come through this organization that have been impactful in ways they might not know about how I play the game.
You've proven people wrong throughout your career, and there's some people saying, yeah, maybe he's injured, he's too old. Are you taking that as a challenge to prove people wrong again?
Yeah, like you said, I feel like I've had people doubt me for a long time through my life, and in some ways, rightfully so. I mean, I was a very small kid growing up and cared a lot, but there's a lot of people that care a lot and just don't have the stuff stringed together. And I was very, blessed to have a lot of coaches to come alongside me and teach me and show me the way, and very thankful for that. And I wouldn't be here today without that. But with all those doubts and all those things, it's never been about proving other people wrong. I think I've lived in that space, and it never goes well. It's been about being who I am, like believing in myself and knowing that I can be who I see myself becoming. And when I've taken that attitude, when I've taken that mindset, that's when I've always been at my best. And I'll continue that. I know how to navigate these waters. I've been here before, and it's not about the negative energy of trying to prove anyone else wrong, trying to make anyone else feel bad about anything. It's just about being myself and being who I believe I can be, and going out there and playing the game I love.
What have these last couple of months been like for you, though, finding out that you were going to be back with the Rams and then becoming a free agent and going through that process?
Yeah, it's been difficult. I mean, in all honesty, it's been very difficult and frustrating. And there's been lots of questions and things that are it's a real tough situation. I've said I always imagined that I'd finish my career there, but that's not what the plan was that God had for me and my family. And stepping into this new adventure, this new place, this new chapter in my career, but also in our lives, as my wife and I navigate moving back up to our home state. And I think that's something that we're excited about facing, and we're excited about the community that we get to be a part of, the people that are going to be a part of our lives. And but yeah, it has been difficult. Without a doubt, it has been difficult. And we're humans, we're real people, and it's been something that's been, in a lot of ways, I'm thankful to have had a wife to lean on and to count on to be able to walk through this with, because it would be very hard to do by myself. And our boys have been incredible through it all. And but yeah, we are very excited about what the future holds here in Seattle.
Did the Rams give you a why, or was it the injuries, or what did they cite?
Yeah, I'm sure they have their reasons for why they want to do things, whatever it is. Not a ton of clarity in that regard, but at the end of the day, I'm thankful to be able to walk away from that organization and be able to look back on all those memories, all those experiences, all those things that we were able to go through together, and relationships that we had with so many people there, and look at it in a positive light, and be very thankful for my time in Los Angeles, and something that we will always cherish. But like I said, we are very excited about the chapter ahead, and what we can do here in Seattle.
Once you found out that you were going to be able to pick where you were going next, how quickly did the Seahawks come onto your radar, and the process of getting to the point where you decided this is where you were going to come?
Yeah, it was pretty quick in terms of expressing the interest once I was released, and I thought that as we went through things, I thought the messaging from Mike and from John and from the Kubbs, from all the guys that I talked to here, the messaging was right on par with what I thought was how you build a championship team. It's about the people. You focus on bringing in good people that are about ball, and all the other stuff's going to fall in place. And that's something that when that was the mindset, when it wasn't about specific football football people that you're trying to get in place. Like we're trying to get just the people. We're trying to get solid people that know how to work, that are about playing this game the right way. That's something that I was like, man, this is something that I know that's how you build a good team. I know that's the best teams I've been a part of have been built that way. And so that excited me. And, as time went on, talking to, Ernest Jones, who's been here, I've known, talking to Jackson, talking with, Sam after he had signed on, and, various guys in the organization that's like, hey, there's the same messaging every time. It's like, hey, we're building something here that's special, and we've got the right people in the building to do it. It just built up, and now I'm really excited to be a part of it.
What are your thoughts about being part of sort of a revamped offense with a new quarterback this year also?
Yeah, I was initially I was really, I felt like I was behind the 8 ball a little bit. I was like, man, I'm gonna be behind everyone trying to figure all this stuff out. And there was actually not until a couple of days ago that I realized, day 1 OTAs, everyone's learning this offense. So that's gonna be fun. I think that's gonna be something that I'm excited about in terms of, especially with Sam coming in here, and like we get to learn this offense together. We get to, as it grows, as every offense, you have the starting point of how you want to do things, what that's going to look like, and as the players come in and bring it to life, it grows, it changes, it morphs into accentuating the guys' abilities of the guys that you have. And I'm excited to be able to go through that. It's just such a fun process, and being able to build that, and it's something that gets me very excited about this offense, about this team.
How familiar were you with Sam before all this, and did that play a part in you wanting to be a part of his offense with him?
Yeah, so I had watched him quite a bit when he was at USC competing there. Watched him early in his career, and I thought, man, he in terms of throw of the football, he makes some incredible throws, and went through some things. He's been through some difficult circumstances, but his confidence, his ability to maneuver those things and be able to come back and have the year that he did last year, when in this league, that's a hard thing to do. But that confidence, like I touched on before, it's not about what other people think about you, it's who you believe that you are. And him being able to come out and compete like he did last year, I think that speaks a lot to the person. And I'm really excited about, obviously, a great football player, and just seeing how he works, how he goes about his business. And I've heard all great things, and excited to build this thing with him.
You've predominantly played in the slot in your career, and so is Jackson Smith and Jigba. How do you kind of foresee that playing out, and is that something you talked about with the coaches?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, as the offense kind of gets going and we kind of start building this thing out, it's all, like I said, I trust this offensive staff and being able to be able to emphasize the things that guys do well. And in 8 years with the Rams, I think it's tagged with the slot, but I don't know how you determine that when we're in condensed formations. I'm outside, but I'm running a slot route. I'm out. A lot of times I was outside, and I'm not sure if it was being tagged as slot routes or not. But I think the ability to move in an offense, and the ability for in this offense, and what Kubiak's done, is being able to formation guys to be anywhere, and that's how I had learned this offense originally. Was that you had to learn the whole thing, because you can be in any one of these spots at any time, right? So you might think of yourself as, you can't think of yourself as just a slot. You got to see yourself as playing any one of these positions at any time, because you could be asked to run any one of these routes. And I think Jackson did some of that same stuff last year. We played inside and outside, and being able to run routes that are typically for an X or an F, or being able to run all that stuff. And I think that's what we've got. We've got guys that are going to be willing to learn the offense as a whole there and being able to take advantage of those opportunities.
How did you convince Uchenna to give up number 10?
So we ended up, he's got a foundation that's doing some really good stuff here in the community, and it was important for him to that be part of this change, and he's great to work with, and able to donate to his foundation and make sure that he felt good about that, and he mentioned he's played his best football in number 10, and it had been important to him, and just since time in Seattle, and just clearly the community was a important part of this whole thing, and so I respect his his desires there, and able to work it out. I'm really thankful for him to being willing to work something out for us.
I know you grew up on the other side of the state, but did you make it to any Seahawks games growing up?
I did. So I made it to a few. I remember my first one was I believe a Sunday night game. Was it Sunday night? Remember? We talked about this a second ago. I think it was Sunday night. Snow game against the Packers, 2006. Anyone? There you go. So yeah, I was there too. I was up in the very top, frozen. It was the icicle up there. But yeah, it was incredible watching. Alexander went off. It was it was a crazy one. I feel like I got to miss school the next day. So it was like bonus points because I didn't have to go to school the next day. But yeah, I mean, like I said, memories being there, being part of that environment, and yeah, such a cool thing. Because that was a special thing growing up to be able to go to a Seahawks game, and yeah, very special memory.
Was there another one you went to? Did you say you went to?
Yeah, so I went to another one when I was in college. We watched Baltimore came to town, and I was able to be right next to the tunnel as Ray Lewis ran out, and my dad tapped me. He's like, "Hey, you think you can play in the NFL?" And I looked at Ray Lewis and I was like, "Oh yeah, I can play. I got this."
Not every receiver takes blocking as a big part of their role, but it seems like that's something you've taken some pride in. Can you talk about how that's evolved as part of your game?
Yeah, so early on, I got credit Jay Dumas, my high school coach. Shout out to Jay for making that a point of emphasis for me. And I didn't learn until later that he was the worst blocking receiver at WSU in history of WSU receivers. But he seemed to make it seem like it was really important that you blocked as a wide receiver. So when I was in high school, that was always a big emphasis, and carried on as we kind of went through college, and then. For the Rams, that has always been like with being condensed formations. You're a part of the blocking surface. You're a part of the counts, and that was so much fun because I got to learn, as if I was an extension of the offensive line, the verbiage, the thought process behind how they're doing things, the angles that are being done, the counts with the linebackers, with the shades, with the where the bubble is at, and all this different stuff. It's like, man, I love football, and this is a whole other part of it. I thought I had things figured out, and you realize there's a whole other world happening, right at the last scrimmage, and it's been something that's been fun for me to learn and be a part of, and as that's grown, I've just fallen in love with it. Fallen in love with being a part of helping the run game become a thing and come to life, and seeing how that plays off into the pass game and all the things you can do there, and it's been a fun thing for me.
There was a report Dak Prescott called you to try to get you to go to Dallas. Was it fun being recruited during any of this at all?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it's one of those things where I've been in contact with a lot of these guys. Just as your career goes on, you run into people, and just really hear what's going on in these different organizations and what they're thinking and how they're seeing things, what they envision, football looking like. And it was cool, kind of reconnecting with a lot of people that you might get a few words with after a game, or you might talk to once or twice. But it's just good. It's good. There's just a lot of really good people, a lot of good football players in this league, and it was fun kind of connecting with them.
The rapport that you had with Stafford and knowing where to go and where the ball would be, how long did that take to develop?
It was very fast. Honestly, it was very fast, and I think part of that, one was Matthew played when he was in Detroit. I think he had like 5 offensive coordinators in his time there. So he had seen all these different ways of running an offense. And then, coming into OTAs, it was just kind of like, I don't know, it just clicked. It just clicked, and I think a big part of that, though, is being able to just, my dad played quarterback, and so I learned receiver from a quarterback. Like I was running routes for my dad and he'd tell me if, from his perspective, if I did something wrong. Right? It might not be what the receiver coach would say, but the quarterback was telling me what I was doing wrong. And I think that's helped set things up to be like, I feel like I can understand what a quarterback's seeing and how he's feeling based on the coverage and where the openings might be. And, I think I play a role in that and trying to make sure that I can be able to find those soft spots for him. And I'm looking forward to, Sam. He's going to be in a similar spot where he's playing a lot of different offenses now. And in some ways, while he doesn't probably feel like that was the best thing for him, when he gets into the right system, which is real similar to what he did last year, that can be a very big positive for a quarterback.
You mentioned Coach Dumas, and I spoke with him earlier, and he told me a story about you in 9th grade coming to him in the weight room. You just got your sling off from your broken collarbone, and he said that you asked him the stats of going to college and then going to the NFL. He told you the stats, but that didn't really faze you. You were determined. You said, if that's what I got to do, I'm going to do it. How do you carry that mindset with you still today?
Yeah, I remember that conversation because I told him what I want. I said I want to be a running back at USC. That's what I said. I told him I said I want to play running back at USC. Reggie Bush was my guy, and he said you got to change your plans. He's like best case scenario, maybe you can go to Central Washington, play at the D2 school there if you work really hard, maybe you can do that. And I was like, you know what, no. I think I'm going to do what I want to do, and there was this mindset. And in some ways, it goes back to kind of that doubting piece. It's like, okay, well, that's what he thinks, but I know what I want to do. I know what I want to achieve and what I want to become and who I am. And while I didn't get to go to USC and be a running back, I do think the habits that I formed in high school have carried me through every step of my career. Understanding that it is the work, it's the time that you put in, it's your preparation that sets you up to go play this game freely. And, those habits were established early on. It's all I know now. So I'm thankful for Dumas for his doubts. I'm thankful for Dumas also for his coaching because he is one of the guys that, as time went on, believed in me and pushed me and, it set me up to be who I am today.
When did the dream of being a running back die?
When did it die? Probably the next year when I got moved to receiver. And realized, so I got put up on varsity my sophomore year, had no business being up there. No business being up on varsity. I had my pants were tucked into my mid back. I was not ready for it. But I realized then that's the path to becoming a USC running back was a long one. And at this point, I'm like, my legs just aren't going to be, I don't have the legs for it. I can see myself in this jersey. I look like a giraffe out there. It's just not, it's not going to work. So, but the adjustment to be like, man, I fell in love with receiver at that point. I fell in love with it. Coach Dumas was the receiver. I'm like, I adored Coach Dumas, and I was like, I can make this work.
Bobby Wagner went closer to home and got to play the Seahawks a couple times a year and look forward to that. You come closer to home, you're going to play the Rams a couple times. Are you looking forward to facing your former team?
Yeah, I am. I am looking forward to it. And that didn't play into the decision to come here, but it's a nice little thing on the side to be able to go against those guys and know a lot of those guys have so much respect for the coaching staff, the way that they handle things down there, the players down there. I am excited about it, though. It's going to be a really cool thing, and when that time comes, it'll just be football at that point, But I am looking forward to it.
What were some of the things Ernest and Jackson talked about in terms of what they're building here?
Yeah, well, it all went back to the people. It's Ernest talked a lot about just how when he came in here, just the way that he was welcomed in and the way that guys went to work, the communication they had, the way that they operated as one on defense. And that's a huge thing defensively. Defenses only work if you're playing as one unit. And he just had, incredible things to say about his time here last year. With the guys, and then Jackson, he said a lot of the same stuff. It's like he loved the coaching staff. He loved the way that guys were treated, the ways that the organization was run, and then he said he's just having the time of his life playing football. And that's a huge thing. If guys are having fun, you're gonna be at your best when you're enjoying it. And if you can create that environment and still be hear how these guys are going to go to work, good things will happen.
You mentioned Mike McDonald earlier. You spent your career so far playing for kind of the young, innovative offensive guy. Are you excited or curious to see how it is playing for a defensive-minded head coach?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That will be interesting. I know there's so many different ways that people do it. I'm not sure how involved Mike is on the offensive side of things or how he does things, but I'm looking forward to it. And I've only heard all the guys here love him. I've only heard great things about him, and really looking forward to just the staff he has in general. Everyone here has been great, and the excitement around football and what's building here. You can feel it, and so it's gonna be fun come mid-April being up here and getting to work.
Having prepared for and played against his defenses a couple times, what stands out about a Mike McFarland defense?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about playing as one, and that's a huge thing. You gotta have guys that the best defenses, guys play off each other. They understand when they're showing pressures and things like that. Like one guy's off, it's like it tips the whole thing off. You have to be as one from the very beginning. From the communication of all your checks to being able to show your bluffs, to be able to get to your coverages, to be able to match those up with the fronts and the things that are happening with the defensive line, and the stunts, and all of that. I've respected the way that guys have brought that to life, and you can see the coaching that's been done as players have been able to play free, be able to get in positions where they're put in positions to succeed defensively. It just becomes very hard offensively. And it's like, hey guys, just don't mess up. Guys are going to play their leverage. They're going to be in the spots they're supposed to be at, and you respect that about a defense. That's to me the telling sign of good defenses is when you see that.
What is the story behind the Pearl Jam T-shirt?
They're from Seattle. No, it was I learned guitar when I was in 6th grade-ish, somewhere in there. Just taught myself, and it's been something I've loved learning. I don't have a great musical ear, but I love playing music. My wife's a singer, so she's the musical one, so I just try to learn enough songs for her to sing to them. But there's been enough stuff, like as you come up and you grow, it's like, man, there's the grunge scene in Seattle is obviously huge, similar to some really good music from LA, and so I just figured I've got a bunch of these old vintage grunge rock band tees. I might as well wear the Pearl Jam one today.
What's your go-to Pearl Jam song to play?
Well, there's an album, it's called 10, ironically enough, that's pretty good. So you throw that one on, you won't be going wrong.
Super Bowl 56, what's your favorite memory of that game?
Winning it was probably the biggest memory. I think that last drive offensively was pretty special. I mean, just you go from really you're in a roadblock. You can't get anything going, and it's football. It's like, hey, we're going to find a way to get some momentum, get something moving this thing forward, and it's the cool part about this game is like, man, nothing can be going right, and it just takes maybe one play, one spark, and you find a way, and suddenly it becomes very easy. You feel like you can just do whatever you want to, and you're chunking the ball down the field, and that belief grows, and then once you have that belief, it's hard to get that thing taken away. And I think that's speaking on that's a special thing too about teams in general, and a big thing that played into wanting to come to Seattle is there's a belief here. There's a belief. There's organizations in this league that believe they're going to lose, and there's organizations that believe they're going to win. And here in Seattle, you've always seen that belief that they're going to find a way to win the game, and that's a very powerful thing in this league because a belief is what it takes to get that spark, to get that opportunity, and as long as you have that belief, you've always got a chance. So excited to be a part of that.
Sorry, what is Jake Pete's impact on your game when you guys were in LA together?
Pete's doesn't do anything, man. He's standing back there right now. That's why I said that. Pete's has been awesome. He's obviously been. He was in my room before he came here. He was in the room with us as wide receivers, and a huge part in just the way that we operated, the concepts, the purpose behind what we're doing. Right, it's the details. It's those little things that make the difference. And he was in that room to make sure that stuff was communicated from the top down on how we're doing these things, and being able to make sure that we're being put in positions and understanding what the why is behind the concepts that we're running, and real thankful for him and just his knowledge of the game, from a defensive side, from an offensive side, how we're manipulating things defensively and what we're trying to accomplish offensively. That stuff goes a long way, and so if you can play that way as a receiver, if you can get to the point where you can play fast still with that mindset of understanding what you're manipulating, it gives you a huge advantage. So I'm really thankful for Pete and what he meant to me there, and excited to be back here with him.